Okay, everyone. So, back doing the podcast. I apologise if it's been a while since I've done them. To be honest with you, I'll try and give you a little brief overview. So, for the past 6, 7 weeks, I'd say maybe a bit less. I've actually gone into self-employment. I was a full-time PE teacher, and on the side, I say on the side, it's what I've always wanted to do. But after work, I was always doing my personal training, and I decided in September, well, over the summer, and then in September, handed me notice in to go full time doing the personal training. So I've actually been very busy at home doing a lot of work. Focusing on obviously trying to get clients and doing workplace stuff. So just to clarify why there hasn't been many podcasts, I did do a podcast a few weeks back with James, who featured on the first ever podcast, and we've done one in between the first and the last. I just haven't got round to uploading it. So apologies for no podcast for a few weeks, but hopefully this kind of gives me the buzz back that I need to carry them on, because I do really enjoy doing them. Obviously, again, there's not much to say in terms of speaking about Bon Jovi. And to be honest with you, I'm not a guest today. This podcast is going to be all about Bon Jovi talk. To be honest with you, the actual Twitter page. I know it's kind of 50-50 for a lot of people, which is fair enough. It doesn't really get to me, in all honesty. The criticism I get, because the criticism I get a lot of positives as well. So it's just to talk about Bon Jovi talk, why the page is the way it is, why I'm very vocal, why I do get involved in a lot of arguments and Twitter debates and things like that. So it's just to clarify, because I think a lot of people misunderstand me, or misunderstand the page, to be honest with you. Just to let you know, I actually can't find my laptop charger either. So it says here that I've got roughly an hour left. I don't plan to speak that long, but I can get carried away sometimes. So I'm going to speak about, as I said, Bon Jovi talk. I'm going to start with the purpose of Jovi talk, or Bon Jovi talk, should I say. So basically, my purpose for Bon Jovi talk has always and will always be just to interact with more fans. Forums are dying, unfortunately. I think everyone will kind of agree with that. There's obviously the fantastic page, the fantastic forum called Jovi Talk, drycounty.com. I've been a member on that board for over 10 years now. I'm 25, so from the age of 14, 15, I've been a member of that board. And to be honest, I was always looking at that board way before I was a member, because my brother was a huge Bon Jovi fan. So I knew there was that interaction, but I always felt I was a little bit too young to sign up. And to be honest, probably my parents did, which fair enough. Times were different even 10 years ago with, social media. My Bon Jovi talk, I'm sorry if you can hear a couple of things going off. As I said, I'm on my laptop. The purpose of Bon Jovi talk for me, as I said, was to interact with fans. I don't feel obviously on forums anymore you get that interaction. It's very opinionated. It's very how can I describe it? You don't have any actual conversation anymore. I find anyway. That's just my opinion. Obviously, if you are on the Jovi Talk forum, you will see obviously it's not what it once was. And again, I'm not criticizing anyone. I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. What I am saying is the forums aren't the same, and that's obviously had an effect on such a great forum at one point as Jovi Talk. Obviously, Bon Jovi have lost a lot of fans, regardless of what anyone says they have, because of the sound, because of the producers, because of John's vocals, whatever it is. We all know that the fan base has shrunk, whatever way, okay, whatever way we say it. So anyway, the purpose of Jovi Talk. I originally made the page, I can't even remember how long ago. It must be 7 years ago, maybe, 7 or 8 years ago. I remember interacting with Richie, when he was doing a solo album. And obviously, his solo album came out in 2012. We're in 2019, so I presume it's about 7 years. Whether it was late 2012, I can't remember. But yeah, 2012 was when I think I made the Bon Jovi Talk Twitter page. Again, I was 19 years of age, okay, 18, 19 even. So again, you gotta, I was still kind of young, obviously making that page. I was interacting. I was still kind of caught up in the whole Bon Jovi, can do nothing wrong type thing. And I've always thought I've been quite constructive, quite negative as well, when I need to be. And I still stand by that. If I've always said, if the band do something good, John does something good, or whoever, I always praise them. Whether it's, he looks like a rock star or whatever, I'll always comment and say he looks like a rock star, or he sounds good, or that was a fantastic performance, whatever. To me, on Bon Jovi Talk, what I'm going to say is that I find a lot of people don't get me. A lot of people do, but I find that a lot of people don't. And to be honest with you, and I'm not criticizing anyone. This is just my interaction with people. It's a lot of Americans who don't get me. I get a lot of people from, obviously, the UK who get me. I get people from Australia who message me and, comment and kind of, back me up on a lot of things. They get me. And again, I'm not saying it's all Americans, obviously, because it's not. It's really not. And, I've got, I speak to quite a few Americans who are massive Bon Jovi fans and are just the same as me and get me. I think what people don't realise is that I do love a good wind-up. If you know me personally, which a handful of people, and I say a handful of people, 5 or 6 people who probably follow Bon Jovi Talk, actually know me in person, and most, that's how you are in real life. You're a wind-up. I am. And I always have been. I've got a daft sense of humour. I like taking the piss. I like getting the piss taken out of me. You'll find that if someone, as I go at me, that I kind of laugh it off. It takes a lot to get to me. And again, I'm not, blowing my own trumpet. That's just, again, anyone who knows me will say exactly the same. I'm very laid back. It is hard to get under my skin. So people blocking me and criticizing me and calling me this, calling me that. I genuinely do laugh it off. I don't lose any sleep. I don't go, oh my god, they've just called me this. I laugh it off, and I carry the page on as normal. To me, I love Bon Jovi Talk. I interact, as I said, with a lot of fans. I've made, when I say friends, I've made, a lot of people who I message privately from Bon Jovi Talk Twitter. I've interacted with a lot more people than I ever thought I would on the page, and I love that. I love that side of it. It's what I used to be like on Jovi Talk. The amount of people, I've been to, Jovi Talk and slept in the same room as them and stayed on a plane with them and traveled here and there and met up with them at different shows other than Bon Jovi. For me, what happened was Jovi Talk, and I just wanted to make my page very similar to that. Now, what people probably see on Jovi Talk is me saying how the page isn't the same as it used to be, because you get a lot of people who are, let's say, on the wind up, and I know I said I'm a wind up, but these are, these aren't even winding people up over the band. These are winding people up by 8 or 9 posts about the same thing. And that RD Copper and Yavanna. I'm not gonna hold back and say who it is. It is. And to be fair, I was probably the same, but mine used to be Bon Jovi related. You only have to look at my post count. In the first 6 or 7 years, I probably got like 10,000 posts, which is ridiculous. And I look back at it now and I go, bloody hell, like I had no life. I was obsessed. I still say I am obsessed with the band, but I was obsessed. I didn't, for the large chunk of the time, I had a lot of spare time on my hands. I was obviously wasn't as dedicated to jobs and all things like that. That's where my post can come in. I always thought mine was at least worthwhile. Whereas these now, and again, I'm not holding back. These now, obviously, that their posts aren't really. Let's be honest, they aren't about the band just because they say, they're in a topic or so. They are just posting for the sake of posting. Then you've obviously got a couple of other members who no longer post but like to stir the pot, and it's just not the same. Whereas I intentionally, and I'll be honest, I never. It's very very rare that I will post on Bon Jovi Talk to try and stir the pot. As I said, I try and be as honest as I am with the band. I private message Matt, and I've told him what I think of the band. It's not just obviously. I get a lot of people who, he would never say this to Matt's face. He would never say. One thing I'll always say is I couldn't give a shit about Matt. Matt's a brother of a famous rock star. He's no different to anybody else that I would ever meet in the street or anybody else that I would interact with. He is, just because he was security and whatever else, it genuinely doesn't bother me. As I said, it got to the point where Matt asked, he said, give me your phone number and I'll call you one day. So I gave him my phone number. Really, really, it just doesn't interest me. It doesn't bother me that, if I'm certainly not going to hold back to him. So all this, he would never say this to Matt. Oh my God, Matt doesn't like him. Again, it makes no difference, and I mean this in the nicest way. His opinion means just as much as your opinion does. I'm not gonna, as I said, I'm not gonna hold back to anyone. It's anyone who knows me, as I said, will understand that. That's how I am. I'll say things. I'll say what's on my mind to people. It's just how I've always been, and I get people calling me a bully and all that. If you're getting bullied on Twitter, seriously, the simple thing, block them. It's block me. I'm not. Again, I'm not going to lose any sleep. One thing, I'm not going to apologise for anything, but one thing I'll never intentionally do is bully anyone. I don't like bullies. As I said, I worked in a primary school as a PE teacher. One thing I never tolerated was bullies, and I've never let anyone bully me, and I don't like anyone bullying anyone else. It's that. So let's sack that crap off. It's one thing I'm not is a bully, and I think that's just kind of people kind of looking for a little bit of attention, to be honest with you. Calling me a bully and that, but if that's your opinion, again, that's your opinion. I've wrote a couple of things down on a sheet. As I said, I'm not going to try and talk too much because I will go in circles, and I'm not the best speaker. I stumble a lot. I say a lot. I am Scouse, so I'm going to be honest. My speaking isn't the best, so people have probably turned off now, which fair enough. Okay, but yeah, just bear with me. So, obviously, I spoke to you there about the purpose of Jovi Talk. It was to interact with fans. It was to get my points across. It was to listen to other people's points across, get their points across. It was to talk about recent shows, past shows, anything. I still enjoy Bon Jovi Talk. And as I said, I'm not going to hold back on anything. Okay, so for those who are following the page, don't expect anything different. If you enjoy the page, thank you very much. I genuinely do. I get a lot of people either private messaging me or, as you probably see, because I quote tweet a lot, people actually praising the page, and I love that. And I'm not doing it for praise. I'm not doing it for negativity either. I'm not doing it for anything. I'm doing it, as I said, to interact with fans and to get people's opinions. I've never once done it to all of a sudden get John Bon Jovi to follow me or anyone from the band. There's a couple of Twitter pages that suck up to the band a little bit. That's not me. Again, I'm going to be honest. Richie blocked me 3-4 years ago, maybe a bit less. Again, I couldn't care less. He obviously couldn't handle what I said. I can't even remember why he blocked me, to be honest with you. But yeah, he blocked me. Arianthi blocked me. Again, I can't remember why. Obviously, again, something I've probably said because I'm just being honest. couldn't care less. Matt blocked me about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. Am I bothered? Not at all. Okay, I'm there to speak to fans. I'm not there to speak to little side people, or someone who used to be in the band or whatever. If they follow me and interacted with me, fantastic. As I said, there was a point where Matt did. Um, Spoke to them a lot over DMs. Some things positive, some things negative. It's just one of them. So anyway, the next point I'm going to say is, am I negative? I always get a lot of people going, oh, he's never positive about the band. He's never negative. He's never praising the band. He's always negative. You only have to go through my tweets and see that that's not true. There was an argument that I had with someone the other day, who again resulted in them blocking me. But they were saying I was, negative and that, and it was the day, if I'm not mistaken, it was the day after Bon Jovi put up the pro shot of "Have a Nice Day." I was one of a few who actually praised that performance on Twitter. Now, when I praised it, when I sent it, it was only that I thought 5-10 minutes later, do you know what? No one's actually. If I was negative about it, within a minute or two, I'd have 2 or 3 replies. Oh my God, can't you have anything positive to say? He sounds great. He's not what he was 20 years ago. You got to understand that, and all that. When I put the "Have a Nice Day" performance on, and I actually said I actually quite enjoyed that. Vocally, it wasn't the best, but as a performance, I really enjoyed that. I got nothing back that actually commented on how I'd praised the band, and that's what pisses me off a little bit, because I do praise the band. Somebody said, you're negative about "This House Is Not For Sale." I listened to "This House Is Not For Sale" yesterday. If I didn't like the album, 2.5 years on, trust me, I wouldn't listen to it. Is it as strong as when I first listened to it? Of course it isn't, but what is? I love These Days now. It's These Days, These Days is my favourite album of all time. Is it as strong as when I first heard it? Of course it isn't. Everything's new, everything's fresh, everything's different. So yeah, it's all brand new. Of course, it's not the same. Again, I think it's sometimes people say I'm looking for arguments. I think it's the other way around a lot of the time. But one thing I will say, I love "This House Is Not For Sale" still. And I said, yeah, it's not as solid as it was when it first came out. Of course it isn't. Come on, to say, that I'm never positive about it is wrong. When I say I praise John, I like when John takes a couple of risks. Now, I'm not saying Last Man Standing on, the Australia leg or whatever was a risk, but he actually come out of his comfort zone a little bit, because let's be honest, the set list became a little bit stale. So to come out with something he hadn't played for a while, good on him, and I praised that, and I was like, yeah, carry that on. Again, you only have to listen to the last podcast with James, which I will be uploading, and it should be uploaded by the time you listen to this anyway. But I was praising, the set list changes, and I was praising the performance. The fact that John come out from, the side, like where the footy players come on, and that. It to me, that's fantastic. He's interacting with the band. He's doing what he needs to do. He's being a rock star. He's being the front man. That's all we ask for. I've always said, if John's on top form as a front man, the show will always be good. Vocally, let's be honest, he's not the same as he was. We all know that. Anyone who says he is in denial. Okay, let's get that straight. And John knows it himself. You only have to listen to "God Bless This Mess." He's going on about how his voice is shot. You only have to listen to that. You only have to listen to interviews from the "This House Is Not For Sale" promo. He was saying he lost his voice. He was saying he didn't have his mojo. He's saying that he couldn't be bothered even lifting a guitar anymore. You only have to listen to the man himself. But when it's coming out of a fan's perspective, obviously you're being negative, which, again, is baffling. But yeah, I'm getting, I'm negative and so on. And again, I'm not. I'm 25 and I've still got, Bon Jovi frames up in, one of my rooms in the house. If I was negative about somebody or someone or a band, I certainly wouldn't have stuff up in my house about them. They're my favourite band of all time. They always will be. They still are. You know, to me, a fan is someone who is negative, someone who does realize that things aren't the same and does pick up on things. It's that to me is a fan. And to be honest, it's just it does get to me in that side because to say I'm not positive is just baffling. Um, and again, I think that's just people. I think that's just people being. I think that's actually people being negative towards the page because, as I said, there are fan pages on there, and I've got fair enough. There are fan pages on there that never have a bad word to say about the band, and I'm not against that. That's up to them. My idea, as I said, is to interact with people. For some other people, it's to just post about the band, or post about news, post about videos, and whatever else. That's not my idea behind Bon Jovi Talk. Okay. Anyway, next point. What I put was what annoys me fan wise, and as I said, I've kind of touched on this already with the negativity, but what annoys me, and I'm going to pick up on this, and I'm not going to hold back. What annoys me is fans who. Okay, I'll start again. What annoys me is members of the band, and I'm going to say this: Phil X. Okay, love Phil X. Fantastic guitar player, being there for the band when we as fans and John and David and Tico needed the most, was there for them. Okay, fantastic guitar player, interacts with people on social media, which is fantastic. You never see John doing that. Very, very, very rare that you see David Bryan do that. Even Everett and Hugh, you never really see them, but Phil X, give him his due, does. What annoys me is, and because obviously he's in America or he's flying off to different places, it's very rare that when he does these Q&As that I'm actually awake, because it's usually 2, 3 in the morning over here. What annoys me is the constant replies to certain people with shit questions. Okay. Now, this was where I had a massive argument with 2 or 3 people on, maybe even more, on Jovi Talk the other day. Okay. I put up a post because, and I've commented on this before. Okay, Phil X replies to people, and you only have to go through his feed when he does the Q&A. He'll reply to the same person 3 or 4 times out of about 20 posts. So we'll reply to 20 people, and one person in particular gets 3 or 4 different replies. Okay, from Phil X. Different questions get answered. Okay. Now, one that really got me, and to be honest, it made me laugh more than anything. When I say it got to me, I mean, I just looked at it and I was baffled. One that Phil X replied to was, "What flavour jelly do you have on peanut butter and jelly?" Sorry, but come on, like, what flavour jelly do you have? And he's replying to that. Okay. What got me is it's the person he keeps replying to. It's that Jerry Braden or whatever his name is. Okay, the one who, you know, the band can do no wrong, and John's the greatest person in the world, and so on and so forth. And I am the greatest fan, and I will go into a shop and take a photo with the CD and say it's the best CD ever, and all this crap. Okay. Phil X obviously always replies to him, as I said, and I'm not the only person who said this. Okay, I've actually hinted at who it is, and I've got messages saying I know exactly who you're talking about, and they've said the same thing. Now, I was questioning whether does this Jerry have a interaction with the band? Okay, is he? Because obviously I've seen him, on his Twitter, and I followed him, and I have had decent discussions with him in the past. I'm not going to say I haven't. I obviously seen on his Twitter in the past that he's been backstage and he has met Phil and a couple of other members of the band. And obviously he's obviously only bought one of them packages, but I was thinking, has he got some sort of thing with the band where you know I don't know, was he working for the band in some way? That's kind of what I was thinking at first. Obviously, I've just realised that he's a bit fucking strange, but that was my reason, and that was my thought process at the time. And that it's only that when I realised he actually isn't, that I was thinking, hold on, Phil X is just replying to this guy for the sake of replying to this guy. You know, that Jerry, every time he does a Q&A, is the first person to tweet him back. So either one, he's got notifications on PhilX, which I think is a little bit sad. He's either two, constantly on Twitter, which again is a little bit sad. He either really wants to know about Phil's personal life and, you know, what he has on a fucking butty, which again is a little bit sad. I let that like I am. I'm just gonna be honest. I think he's a fucking. I think he's a little bit sad. Um, and again, as I said, decent conversations in the past with him, but and I remember seeing, that he done as a personal trainer. I seen that he done, that weight loss, and I think that's fantastic. And I absolutely praise him for that. And you know, as I said, it's just I can't take to people who are so far up anyone's ass, let alone, like a person that they probably met once or twice. Um, and as I said, anyway, to get back on track, I just think that side of the fans really gets to me, because you've got that opportunity there to ask stuff. And yeah, you know what? Again, you know, I'm sure Phil X probably appreciates, a couple of questions like that. But come on, even Phil should realise that, a huge percentage of the band really couldn't care less what flavour jelly he has. That's an opportunity there on Twitter that a lot of people don't get. As I said, fantastic that Phil X actually interacts with people. There's members of the band who don't. There's members of the band who don't even tweet. Okay, I praise Phil X for that. Okay, but you're giving fans an opportunity to ask questions. Yet you're replying to things like that. I, as a diehard Bon Jovi fan, I, as a diehard fan of, you know, well, I, as a fan of social media, let's say, I, as a fan of interaction, I personally want to see what song does Phil X like playing most. I want to see what song has he not played live that he wants to play live. What song has he ever suggested to John that John said no? What song has John suggested to Phil X that Phil X has said, I can't learn this that quick? Because we've heard, the Wildest to Win thing, and Phil had to learn it on the day. And, it's obviously Wildest to Win isn't the most complicated song in the world, but fantastic. That's amazing. And that's things that we've learned from like Twitter and, questions that get asked of the band. That's what I want to hear. And I know that's what a lot of fans want to hear. I don't care what topping he has on a sarnie, or what flavour crispy likes, or what pets he's got, or whatever crap. That to me doesn't interest me. Um, and again, that's just my opinion. And I spoke up on that, and then 3 or 4 days later, I got 6 replies or 7 replies, all in one go, from Jerry. Giving me all this grief. And again, as I said, it doesn't get to me. And my reply to him was, well, now I'm really intrigued to know what your favourite flavour jelly is. Again, I obviously couldn't give a shit. I'm on the wind up and winding him up, but he doesn't get that. And I think to let somebody on social media get to you so much, you've either got not enough problems, which that are amazing for you, or you're very sensitive. And if you're sensitive and you're getting, I've never hid, I've quote tweeted there, I've never hid the idea of, that I'm talking about this guy or whatever. As I said, I've had a few Twitter run-ins, let's say, with him. It's it that that's what happens. I just, as I said, it's just a little bit tedious to find, a guitar player of your favorite band replying to shit questions like that. Um, the second one, okay, the second point, that was mainly all about Jerry there. He's probably made up. He's probably delighted to find out that I'm actually speaking about him. But as I said, I've got no guest. This is my chance to actually speak about my social media page. The second point, um, my second point is, I put up a post, and I must admit I didn't expect this backlash, but it was absolutely hilarious, and I got a lot of WhatsApps, let alone Twitter messages or replies. I got a lot of WhatsApps on this one. I put up a photo. I think it may have been when the band we're in Tokyo, I think, um, and they were getting escorted off, and John was pictured getting off a train or a tube or whatever it was, and I'm just being honest, he looked very old. I put on Twitter, listen, if I'm, you know, 58, 58, sorry, 57, nearly, and looking half as good as John, I'll take that. But he looked old. His hair looked awful. His hair was white. It wasn't even grey. It was white. He looked old. He looked. I don't know. He looked older than 56. You know what he is now. He looked older than 56. So I put a post up. Wanted to, try and make a few people laugh innocently, and I say this innocently because, yeah, obviously I knew one or two would reply because they're sensitive about John, and you can't say a bad word about the god that John is. But I put up a post and I said, it's nice to see that John Bon Jovi has brought his nan on tour. I, even if it is my own joke, I actually think that's quite funny. Um, to find out that people got very offended by that. That was actually the post that made Matt block me. Now, again, you know, Matt is, again, as I said, the brother of a global rock star. If you're getting offended by a post like that, where, let's be honest, it's banter. If you think it's anything else, if you think it's malicious or whatever, you're a bit of a tit. Okay, it wasn't malicious. It was a bit of banter. I'd send it in a WhatsApp group if I had a Bon Jovi Talk WhatsApp group, and I'm sure the response would have been good. Okay, but the fact that it's on Twitter and people get to see replies, and people were tagging Matt in it. That's why he blocked me. He didn't follow me. That's why he blocked me, because people want interaction from Matt. People want to use my posts to get interaction with the brother of a rock star. And again, I think that's just a bit of a sad life to live. Okay, as I said, I put that post up for a little bit of a laugh. It got, I don't even know how many posts. I'll have a little look now while I'm talking, but it got a lot of replies, a lot of hate. Um, it got all kinds. Okay, and it is just baffling, I must say. Um, as I said, I'm not doing it to be malicious. I think, as I said, John is someone I look up to. He's been, let's say, an idol. I don't want to be a singer, but he's been an idol of mine since I was, 6 or 7 years of age. Um, I've always looked up to him. I always, whenever I always praise the guy when he needs to be praised. I always say he's still, on this day, and and I'm talking now, talking recently, on his day, he's still the best frontman. On his day. It's obviously only been glimpses on this tour that we've seen that, but on his day, nobody comes close to John Bon Jovi as a frontman. Nobody. Okay, you can run around, you can scream, you can do whatever. It still isn't a patch for me on John Bon Jovi as a frontman. Um, I'm just gonna try and find um this post about John's nan on tour. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Okay, so actually, didn't do as many as I thought. So yeah, I put that as, it was nice to see John Bon Jovi's taking his nan on tour. Here she is being led off the train by security, and as I said, it's a photo of John looking really old, with white hair, sunglasses on, looking like a nan. Okay, I got posts. I wish John was my nan because he is absolutely beautiful. I mean, somebody's just said that they wish John was their nan. Fucking hell. I don't care his age, everyone ages. Okay, spot on. That's true. So why are you here by my post? Somebody then put, sorry, I find it offensive. Why? Why are you finding it offensive? It's, come on. I can't help but laugh. A face palm, really. And then somebody put, I still would. So basically, they're saying that, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Um, why am I so rude? And then obviously, as I said, I got a lot of quote tweets. So these are just direct replies. I got a lot of quote tweets which I can't actually see because I'd have to type them in. But it's just, if you're getting offended by a post like that, I feel quite sorry for you. Your life's too serious. As I said, I do wind people up, but that wasn't even intentionally to wind people up. It was to get obviously a little bit of a response. I'm not going to lie about that. But was it to directly get that hate where a lot of people could tweet to me? I lost a lot of followers on that. And again, one of my best mates messaged him was like, you best tone it down, or you're going to lose a lot of followers. I don't really care about my followers. When I say that, I don't mean people who follow me. I don't like. That's not the case. What I'm saying is, I don't mind if I've got 4 followers or I've got 4,000. It's as long as people interact with the page and like it. That's all that matters. If you're following and you dislike the page, then you're doing the wrong thing. I don't follow anyone that I dislike. Um, so yeah, that's that side. And I do think obviously a lot of people were saying it's British humour, and I think it is. I do think it is British humour, and that's what I'm saying. Most of the replies there, if not all of them, are actually from Americans. And again, I'm not, taking anything away. I know a lot of Americans who replied there who found it funny. It's just, it is, sometimes it's hard to have a little bit of a laugh on the page, and sometimes I have to think, God, what response is this going to get? But I've just got to get past that, I suppose. Um, so yeah, to be honest, I spoke 35 minutes there on the page. As I said, it's just for me. It's for me to interact with you guys. It's for me to enjoy speaking of the band. It's for me to actually, my girlfriend doesn't care about the band. She's a fan, but she won't sit there on YouTube and listen to a show. So it's for me, it's my way of actually, getting what I need to say off my chest about stuff, because as I said, they've been a massive part of my life, the band. Um, if I was so negative, I wouldn't go and see 4 shows. I wouldn't take a week off work to travel around and do 4 shows in 6 days. I wouldn't queue up early to go and be as close as I can to the band. I wouldn't pay, a grand or whatever it is now that I've paid on tickets and hotels. In fact, probably more, and travel, and then obviously merchandise when I'm there, food and drink, and you know anything else. It's if I was so negative and if I hated the band so much, why would I do that? Let's be honest. It's you've only got to ask yourself that. It doesn't make sense. Am I critical? Of course I am. I'll hold my hands up. Am I negative? Yeah, probably. In fact, yeah, I am. But I'm a positive too, right? And as I said, John on his day is the best front man in the world. On his day. Okay. To be honest, as I said, that like I'm getting bored of my own voice. I can't speak for, like, I can speak forever, but on my own when there's no interaction or anything, I do get a little bit bored. So I am going to start to wrap this up now. But as I said, one thing I will say is, guys, a lot of people are messaging and ask them when the next podcast is and how come we've stopped doing them. And I haven't stopped doing them. As I said, I've been incredibly busy. Even though I'm doing less working hours, I'm actually still working from 8 in the morning or 7 in the morning, whatever it is, when I get up to 10 o'clock at night, whether it's work on the laptop, whether it's actually training people, whether it's travel, because I don't drive, I'm always constantly on the go. So it's just being put to the side for a little bit now. But as I said, just with getting straight, it's been 6 or 7 weeks. I'm actually starting to get a little bit straight now and get things sorted and get more organised and whatever else. So what I was saying was, people are messaging and asking why they're not happening, and I'm putting posts up saying, I want to do a podcast today, or is anyone free for one this week? And nobody's replying. But then I'll get a message after I've done one. Love to do it. Can we do this time? I say yeah, and then on the day, can't do it. I'm sorry. Listen, if you don't want to do a podcast, that's fair enough. As I said, I'm doing this. I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it um, for credibility or nothing. I'm doing it to interact with fans. No one's probably even going to listen to me here. I'm just doing it in the off chance that people do. I know I've got a really, really good one in a couple of weeks with a guy called Andy. You probably see me reply to him a lot. The Real Six String on Twitter, and he's cheaper on Jovi Tour. Spoken to him for quite a few years now. Lovely, lovely fella. Never actually met him in person. We've arranged to try and meet up at Anfield. And he's a bit like me. He realises the band aren't, he's quite critical of the band when he needs to be, and I like that. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one because we were planning on doing it over Christmas, but obviously he's got a family. I was obviously going to see my family and doing things with the girlfriend while she was off as well. So things get in the way, and I understand that. And I understand that people can't commit to an hour. I do get that, after work or before work, but the only thing I will say is if you are serious about doing it, then message me. Don't message on the off chance that you can, because as I said, just with work, it's going to be hard to fit things in. I would personally like to interview the likes of Jerry. As I said, he's blocked me now, and he'll never listen to this, I doubt, unless someone who's, you know, mates with them or whatever listens to it and realises that I'm talking about him. That's the only way to listen. But listen, I'm happy to have a discussion with him because, uh, yeah, I'm not into like Twitter, you know, Twitter face-offs. Let's say, I much prefer saying stuff to people in person. And again, I'm not being cocky. I'm not, blowing my own trumpet. That's just how I've always been. And anyone who knows me will back me up on that. I prefer saying what I think to people. And if it, not saying, let's get on the podcast, Jerry, for an hour and have an hour's arguments. That's, what benefits that going to do? But I'd like to hear, I said, I want to hear people's opinions on the band, and Twitter can be hard for that because you are limited to characters, and you can't unless you actually speak to somebody, you do realise, actually, no, they're not half as bad. And that, to be honest, in some ways, that's kind of why I do the podcast because it, you can hear the voice, you can understand how much I love the band. And I was saying this the other day, I'm doing the podcast and people are saying I'm negative, but people are saying how negative I am and I never say anything good. And I replied with, well, I do the podcast and you'll see how positive I have. Well, I'm never going to listen to that. Why would I listen to you being negative? I'm like, that's not the case of the podcast. The case of the podcast is to listen to your side. The case of the podcast is to listen to my side, my opinion, your opinion, and it's a decent conversation. I've done, I think this is like episode 7 or 8 now. I've never had an argument with anyone, but I've had difference of opinions, never argued with anyone. I've said, no, I think this is, my opinion on it. I've never argued with anyone, and as I said, I'm not going to argue with anyone over Bon Jovi. What's the point in that? That a band do, John probably laughed at that tweet because, he's got hundreds of millions in the bank. He's got people who would literally, you know, lick jelly off his feet. But um, it's come on, yeah. Let's just be real. Anyway, as I said, I'm repeating myself. I'm going to start to wrap this up. So, guys, if you've listened, good on you because I've literally bored the tits off myself here. I'm not going to lie. I just had a little bit of time free, and I've just thought, I'll get the laptop out, have a little speak to myself, um, communicate with you, see what you think about this. But yeah, to those who actually do enjoy Bon Jovi talk, honestly, I do appreciate it, and I'm not going to sound like a celebrity and my fans and all that. I haven't got any fans. I've got Bon Jovi fans who follow a fan page because that is what it is. It's a fan page. It's well, it's not, but it's an opportunity to speak with fans. Okay, it's not for me to be up John's, David's, Tico's, Richie's, Phil's, anyone's ass because I'm not. Okay, it's just obviously a way to interact with people. It's a way to speak what's on my mind and what I think of the band and what I think about the recent performance. And yeah, don't take me too seriously. That's one thing I will say because if you ever got to know me, I've actually been out. I went to Dublin in 2013, and there was a lady who was a friend of a friend who I'm going to put it bluntly, is a bit of a stalker of John. She knows that. And she's probably listening. And to be honest, I'm going with Dublin. She's going to be there in Dublin or London, one of them anyway, again. So that should be good. But she's a stalker. She knows exactly what hotel John's staying in. And that to me is just a little bit creepy, okay? And this is in 2018, so again, a year or two after I posted the started the page, asked her opinion on it, and she was like, I think you're very negative, I think you're this, I think you're that. And I was like, that's your opinion, fair enough. I was like, I'm not going to change though. I was like, there's an unfollow button, there's a block button. If you don't like the page, you can do that. If you don't like what I say, I said, but you've seen me at a show, you've seen how much I love the band, you've seen I've sat down with a group of friends and we spoke about shows, and you've seen how much I enjoyed it and that. So how can you say that I'm negative when you've seen me straight after the show on cloud nine? And that's what I'm saying. Some people just don't see it. If you say something bad about you know John or anyone, you're instantly in people's bad books. It's not yeah, but come on. Anyway, yeah, as I said, I'm going in circles and boring myself and stumbling on my words as always because I've run out of things to say. So, guys, listen, thanks for listening. If you've managed to listen to over 45 minutes of my monotone Scouse accent, if you've switched off, I don't blame you. But listen, podcasts work when you've got somebody to speak to. So, please, somebody give me a message and we'll sort the time and the date out when's good for us. Okay, so let's try and get through to it. Thanks everyone for listening. As I said, I'm going to be posting more up. Hopefully, the one with James should be up by the time you listen to this as well, which is a very, very good, interesting one about the Tokyo shows, the Australia shows, and how we found that John actually not listened to us, but what we said John actually done. I'm not saying he's listened to us, by the way. But yeah, listen, thanks very much, guys. Let me know what you think, and hopefully speak to some of you soon.